Iowa gets hit first 4 to 8 inches starting this afternoon, and most folks out there don't even know it's coming yet. Right behind that, the I-70 corridor from Kansas City to Columbus turns into a sheet of solid ice by Monday morning. And if you think that's the worst of it, just wait. Because what's lined up for the second week of March makes this weekend look like a warm-up act. Today is Sunday, March 1st, 2026. The official first day of meteorological spring and winter just showed up uninvited and sat right down at the table. Let's get straight into it, because there is a lot happening and the clock is already running on some of this right now. As you're watching this, a clipper system is already firing up across the northern tier light snow from the Dakotas through southern Minnesota and into Wisconsin. Nothing dramatic there. A dusting to maybe an inch, just enough to remind you that the cold isn't finished with us. But here's the thing, that clipper is carrying a sharp Arctic front with it. And when that front comes through today, everything changes fast. The Midwest had temperatures in the 50s and low 60s yesterday. Beautiful day. Felt almost like April out there. That's over. Tonight, the Arctic high slams the door shut, and it slams it hard. Wind chills across the northern tier are going to bottom out at 20 to 30 degrees below zero by Monday morning. That's not a typo. 20 to 30 below zero on the wind chill. Frostbite on exposed skin in as little as 10 minutes. That is not an exaggeration. That is the forecast. If you're up in North Dakota, Minnesota, or the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, please take this seriously. This is the real deal. Now, here's the piece that ties it all together, because that same Arctic air is the fuel source for everything else that's about to happen. The Weather Prediction Center is clear this weekend's storm is not going to be a historic blockbuster like the blizzard of 2026, but don't let that fool you. Plowable snow, dangerous ice, life-threatening road conditions in specific corridors, this thing has real teeth. Here's the setup, and I'll keep the science quick because what matters is what it means for your driveway and your commute. The Arctic high parks cold, dense air near the surface. Meanwhile, warm, wet air from the Gulf slides up and over that cold layer from the southwest. When warm air collides with cold air that's already locked in at the ground, you get snow above, ice in the middle, and rain on the southern edge. That transition zone, right, where snow becomes ice, is exactly where the most dangerous conditions are going to set up. Fox Weather has laid this out in 2 scenarios, and neither one is a picnic, so pay attention to which one matches your area. High-end scenario, 6 to 8 inches of snow from the Ohio Valley all the way up to parts of the I-95 coast. That's a real winter storm. Low-end scenario, 1 to 3 inches in that same area, but with a lot more sleet and rain mixing in, especially closer to the coast. The difference between those two outcomes comes down to the storm track shifting 50 to 100 miles. That's it. That's how tight this call is. Small shift north, more snow for the southern tier. Small shift south, more ice for the northern tier. Models are still working this out. What is not uncertain? The WPC has flagged one specific zone as the single biggest danger of this entire system. The Interstate 70 corridor, the Ohio River Valley, freezing rain and sleet, life-threatening road conditions. That is the WPC's own language, not mine. If you drive that stretch Kansas City to St. Louis to Indianapolis to Columbus, Monday morning is not the morning to be out there. Full stop. All right, let me take you through this region by region, city by city, so you know exactly what's headed your way and when. And real quick before we get into it, drop your city in the comments below right after this section. I read every single one. Tell me where you are and what you're seeing out your window right now. Let's make this the most useful comment section in weather today. Starting in the Midwest, because this is ground zero, and the storm kicks off here in just a matter of hours. Des Moines and the Iowa corridor, you're the first ones in. Snow and mixed precipitation break out this afternoon and evening. Iowa could see 4 to 8 inches before it's all said and done. Chicago. A couple of inches of accumulating snow through tonight and into Monday. Breezy conditions are going to make roads feel worse than the numbers suggest. Give yourself extra time. Detroit and Indianapolis, you're solidly in the accumulating snow zone. But UPC points to this whole region as the primary target for the plowable snow totals on the high-end track. Minneapolis and Wisconsin, you're catching the lighter clipper snow right now, 1 to 3 inches, with the main storm energy pushing to your south. You got the easier end of this one. Cincinnati and Louisville, now listen up, because you two are sitting right on the knife edge. Snow to your north, ice to your south. That knife edge is not a comfortable place to be. Track this one all day today and don't make any Monday morning assumptions about what you'll wake up to. Kansas City and St. Louis, you're in the freezing rain and sleet corridor. The I-70 zone, the WPC keeps coming back to this area as the most dangerous stretch of the whole system. Roads in that zone can go from wet to glazed over in under 30 minutes when freezing rain kicks in. If you don't have to be out there Monday, don't be out there. Moving into the Ohio Valley now, and this is the heart of the conflict zone, where cold air at the surface meets that overrunning warm air from the south. Cleveland, Columbus, and Pittsburgh accumulating snow Monday. Higher end track brings you 4 to 6 inches before things start mixing. That's a legitimate snow day situation. West Virginia, virtually every model solution puts you squarely in the freezing rain and sleet corridor. The I-79 and Route 60 are going to be treacherous Monday night. Plan accordingly. And I want to be real with folks in the Ohio Valley about something. A lot of you are already exhausted from the blizzard of 2026. Power still out in some neighborhoods, crews still running. Any additional snow or ice on top of what's already there is not just an inconvenience, it's a compounding crisis. Stay connected with your local emergency management folks. Now heading east, mid-Atlantic, and northeast, and this is where the storm's track makes the biggest difference between a messy Monday and a full-on snow day. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. You're on the southern edge of the main snow corridor. GFS model brings the track south and gives you meaningful snow and ice. European model keeps it north, more cold rain. Right now, the European model has more support from the broader ensemble guidance. That means D.C. and Baltimore lean toward cold rain with some icing, particularly across western Maryland and Delaware. But, and this is important that track could still shift, keep an eye on the Monday morning update before you make any plans. Philadelphia. You're sitting right in the zone of maximum uncertainty. The Philly Metro could see anywhere from a couple of inches of snow to a cold, slushy rain mix, classic Philly weather lottery. New York City and the I-95 corridor from New Jersey through Connecticut, you're in the target zone on both scenarios. High end gives NYC 4 to 6 inches of new snow. Low end, a cold slop mix. And keep in mind, the NWS New York office has already confirmed they're treating the blizzard of 2026 as a historic event for the city. Getting another round on top of that is a serious logistical issue. Boston. You're still dealing with power restoration from a storm that buried some areas under 2 to 3 feet of snow just days ago. And now another system arrives Monday into Tuesday. Providence, that all-time record of 37.9 inches, is still on the ground. Any additional snow or ice at this point puts enormous pressure on recovery operations that are already maxed out. For anyone flying this week, D.C., Philly, Newark, JFK, Boston, Logan, Detroit, Chicago, all of these hubs are looking at potential delays and cancellations starting Monday morning. Don't wait until Monday to call your airline. Do it tonight. Do it right after you finish watching this. Seriously, don't learn this lesson the hard way at the terminal. AccuWeather has made it clear this storm will not rival the blizzard of 2026. But here's the flip side of that for the areas that dodged that blizzard. This weekend could be your main event, and where rain falls along the coastal and southern edges of this system. Urban flooding is on the table, especially in cities where storm drains are already stressed from recent storms. So that's Wave 1. But here's where I need you to stay with me, because right on its heels, Wave 2 reloads before Tuesday is even over. Wave 2 comes in warmer. More rain coverage overall. WPC calls it a generally warmer system, but wintry weather is still possible on the northern edge for the Midwest and Northeast. What that means practically, if you're in the snow zone from Wave 1, Wave 2 might wash some of that down with rain. But the 2-day combined impact is still significant for a lot of communities. Timeline locked-in snow kicks off in the Midwest today, Ohio Valley, Monday, Northeast Coast. Monday night into Tuesday, then Wave 2 re-engages Tuesday before things finally wind down Wednesday. Now, here's where I need you to really pay attention, because the storm this weekend is honestly the least complicated part of what's coming. What lines up for the second week of March is something that hasn't happened since last spring. And this is where things get genuinely serious for a whole different set of zip codes. Let me explain what's happening with the big picture, and I'll keep this plain English because it matters for every single one of you watching, regardless of where you live, all winter long. The northern jet stream, the polar jet, was running the show. That's what kept pulling Arctic air down from Canada and driving those clipper systems every few days. That jet stream is flipping right now, as of this week. And when it flips, everything downstream changes. The subtropical jet, the southern one, the one that feeds off Gulf moisture, takes over as the dominant driver, and that changes absolutely everything about how the weather behaves. Instead of cold, dry air coming down from Canada overland, you now get warm. Extremely wet air coming straight up from the Gulf of Mexico, warmer, wetter, and a whole lot more explosive. Gulf sea surface temperatures are running above average right now. That pushes dew points further north than normal for this time of year. That's fuel for severe weather, plain and simple. On top of that, ENSO is transitioning from La Nina to neutral. That shift unlocks a Gulf-driven storm pattern that meteorologists watch very carefully in early spring. Put it all together, jet stream flip. Warm Gulf, La Nina fading, and you've got the recipe for the most active storm pattern we've seen in months. Buckle up. Let me walk you through March week by week, because this is the part of the forecast that could genuinely affect your life in the weeks ahead, and you deserve the full picture. Week 1, March 1st through 8th. Right now, this weekend's storm dominates, but midweek is when the switch flips and the severe weather season fires up. By Wednesday, March 4th, the Storm Prediction Center has already posted a slight risk of severe weather from Dallas-Fort Worth up toward Fort Smith and Little Rock, Arkansas. Slight risk includes all hazards damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. This is 5 days out, and the SPC is already flagging it. That tells you something. Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma City, you warm up fast after this Arctic blast. By midweek, dew points are climbing and storm energy is building. Your severe weather season is opening right now. The corridor from North Texas through Missouri and Arkansas, heavy rainfall starts stacking up through week 1. And I mean multiple inches, round after round, on the same ground. If you live from North Texas up through the Ozarks, across the Ohio Valley into western Pennsylvania, start thinking about flooding now, not after it happens. Nashville, Louisville, and Evansville, you're in a zone where rain just keeps coming through the first week of March. The Ohio River Valley flood risk is real, and it builds with each round. And here's something that might surprise you. Snow doesn't disappear just because the subtropical jet is taking over. There are still legit snow chances for the Midwest and Northeast through March 8th. Winter and spring are literally fighting over the same territory at the same time. That's why this pattern is so complicated and so important to stay on top of. Now, week 2, March 9th through 15th, this is where the pattern locks in hard. And for the southern and central U.S., this is the week that's going to be talked about for a while. Trough in the west, ridge in the east that set up creates a temperature battleground right down the middle of the country. And that's exactly where storm systems track through again and again. The CFS model has been consistently showing enhanced severe weather potential from Texas all the way up into Missouri, and we're talking the March 5th through 11th window. Multiple model runs showing the same signal. That's not noise. That's a real pattern. The Mississippi Valley from Texas to Missouri needs to be on alert for what could be a significant severe weather outbreak. Tornadoes on the table, damaging winds on the table, large hail on the table. This is not a drill. This is week 2 of March. If you have family in that corridor, now is a good time to give them a heads up. Memphis, Little Rock, Kansas City, St. Louis after this weekend's ice mess clears out. You turn the page straight into tornado season. There is basically no rest period in between. And then, around March 10th or 11th, the models start hinting at something that could be significant for the central Rockies and northern plains, a strong low-pressure system developing. Beyond 10 days. So take it with a grain of salt. But blizzard conditions for the Rockies and northern plains is what the Euro is suggesting for that time frame. We'll be watching this closely. Meanwhile, there's actually some good news buried in all of this good news for the West. That is, because the Rockies and Cascades have been getting shortchanged on snow all winter long. Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, you guys have been watching the powder days go to everyone else. That changes in week 2, with meaningful snowfall finally arriving for the Four Corners region. Denver, Salt Lake City, Portland after a very dry stretch. Significant precipitation returns as that western trough gets established. This could actually be your snowiest stretch of the season. Now, week 3, March 15th through 23rd, the eastern ridge weakens, the heavy rainfall zone shifts east, and the southeast and mid-Atlantic come more into focus. Atlanta, Knoxville, Charlotte, and the Carolinas. Week 3 brings some genuinely beneficial rain chances. After a dry stretch, this is the kind of pattern change those areas have been waiting for. Northern Florida. I wish I had better news for you. Even in Week 3, the pattern doesn't look like it delivers the drought-busting rain you desperately need. The ridge keeps most of that moisture to your north. The West Coast wakes back up in Week 3. California, Oregon, Washington, significant rain returns. Heavy mountain snow for the Sierras and Cascades, long overdue and much appreciated. Some of that energy transfers downstream into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, so don't count out snow chances for Minneapolis, Green Bay, and Cleveland even in mid-March. Winter is stubborn. Severe weather in Week 3 shifts east of the Mississippi River around March 12th through 15th. Chattanooga, Knoxville, Birmingham, and the Tennessee Valley come into that target zone. Flash flooding is going to be a recurring theme across the Tennessee Valley and Ohio Valley all month long. Round after round on the same ground. Saturated soil doesn't take much to flood. Week 4, March 24th through 31st. The ridge breaks down further. Cold air from Alaska starts bleeding south again. And here's where it gets interesting one more time. A notable snowstorm signal has been showing up on multiple models for late March across the northern U.S. consistent signal. Multiple runs. This is not a fluke. Iowa, Wisconsin, Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas. One of you is going to end up with a significant late-season snowstorm in the last week of March. Models are still sorting out exactly who. Big picture on temperatures for the whole month. This is genuinely a roller coaster, and not just as a figure of speech. Warm, cold, sometimes flipping within 48 hours. Week 1. Most of the lower 48 actually runs above normal on temps once this Arctic blast clears. Feels like spring is finally arriving. Enjoy it, because it doesn't last. Week 2 below. Normal temps arrive in the west, above normal in the east. That clash drives the severe weather. By the end of Week 2, temperatures swing hard again ahead of a cold front. Week 3. Alaskan cold starts bleeding south into the northern plains. The east begins cooling off as the ridge weakens. If you like spring, enjoy it while you can in Week 1. Week 4. More cold seeping south. That's what primes the pump for that late March snowstorm signal across the northern tier. Winter gets one more swing. Now let me go through the remaining regions quickly, because there are folks watching from every corner of this country, and you all deserve a straight answer on what's coming your way. Southern Plains, Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Houston. You're running 15 to 20 degrees above normal right now and staying dry in the near term, but don't get too comfortable. The Ranger Road Fire has already burned over 312,000 acres. Wildfire danger remains elevated across the Southern Plains through this week. Dry and breezy conditions are not letting up yet. Houston and San Antonio, above normal Gulf moisture flows in through most of March. Rainfall totals could end up well above average by month's end. Flash flooding risk builds as the month goes on. Southeast Nashville, Atlanta, Charlotte, the Carolinas. You got some much-needed rain from Thursday's storm. That system did verify right on cue with quarter to half dollar size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Think of that Thursday event as the soft opening of severe weather season. What's coming in Week 2 is the main event. The ingredients are far more favorable then. The West record warmth continues in the desert Southwest. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s across Arizona and Southern California. Feels more like May than the 1st of March. But that ridge is showing cracks. The transition to a more active western pattern begins in Week 2, and this could shape up to be the snowiest stretch of the entire season for the Rockies and Cascades. California drought is deepening right now. Until that ridge breaks down in Week 2, there is no meaningful relief coming for the state's water situation. Week 2 cannot get here fast enough for California. For our neighbors in Canada, dangerously cold conditions this weekend across the border provinces. Wind chills 20 to 30 below zero. That cold air feeding south is the direct fuel for everything happening in the U.S. right now. Ontario and the Toronto area got that clipper today with light snow. As the jet stream pattern shifts through March, temps moderate significantly and southern Canada transitions more toward rain. All right, Let me ask you something directly, and I genuinely want to hear the answer in the comments. Are you in the I-70 ice zone right now? Are you already seeing snow in Iowa? Are you in Boston looking at another storm coming when you haven't finished digging out from the last one? Or are you in Arizona watching all of this from your back porch with a cup of coffee, wondering what the fuss is about? Drop your city and your current conditions right below this video. That comment section is how I know what to cover in the next update, and there will absolutely be a next update. I especially want to hear from anyone along the I-70 corridor through Ohio and Kentucky. That freezing rain zone is the one situation I'm most concerned about heading into Monday morning. Okay, let's bring this home the full bottom line, clean and straight, so you can share it with the people in your life who need to know. Storm 1 rolling right now. Plowable snow and dangerous ice from the Midwest to the Northeast. The I-70 and Ohio River Valley face the worst icing. Treat Monday morning like a snow day until proven otherwise. Storm 2 reloads late Monday into Tuesday. Warmer and wetter. More rain than snow for most, but wintry weather still possible on the northern edge before it winds down Wednesday. Mid-week flip, the subtropical jet takes over. Dew points climb. Severe weather opens across the southern plains by Wednesday, March 4th. Tornado season is not waiting around. Week 2. The single most active severe weather window of the month. A potential major outbreak from Texas to Missouri is on the table between March 5th and 11th. Take it seriously now. Month of March overall, one of the wettest on record for the central U.S. is shaping up. Well above average precipitation from Texas through the Ohio Valley. Flash flooding is the underrated threat. Late March, notable snowstorm signal for the northern U.S., still being narrowed down by the models. But the signal is there, and it's been consistent. Someone in the northern tier ends the month buried. Temperature story for March, one word, roller coaster. Warm and cold trading shots all month. Spring trying to show up, winter refusing to leave. The fight isn't over. Here's how I'd sum up March 2026 in one sentence. Winter is throwing its last haymakers, and spring is fighting back hard. And the middle of this country is the boxing ring. Now, this is the part that matters most. If you've got someone in your life who's planning to drive the I-70 Monday morning or fly out of a major hub this week, please share this with them right now. Not later, not when you remember, right now. Before you put the phone down, the information in this video could save someone a very bad Monday, or worse. Stay off the roads in that ice corridor if you can. Check on your neighbors who live alone. Make sure the kids' schools have your updated contact info in case of cancellation. The people who've been around long enough to remember a few bad winters know this: the storms that catch folks off guard aren't always the biggest ones. They're the ones people underestimated. Don't underestimate Monday. Don't underestimate week 2. And don't go more than 48 hours this month without checking an updated forecast. I'll be back with an updated track on this storm as soon as the Monday morning model runs come in, and with this pattern, I'll be back every single day this week. Stay safe, stay warm, and look out for the people around you. That's what getting through a stretch like this is really all about.